Hey guys, how's it going? It's Matt here for TechSmart, and as you already knew, iOS 9 was just released today, the first beta of it, and with that came a bunch of new features, and some of these are actually hidden, so they're not as prominent, and you might not find them right away, but we're going to show you today a few of these features that are hidden further down in the settings, so let's get into it. The first one, which is actually a pretty big change, is as you know, there's a lock button on the side of the iPhone, and usually that is a mute switch to turn volume on and off. However, now in iOS 9, if you go into General and you go into Use Slide Switch 2, you can actually change that to lock rotation as well as mute. So no longer is it just solely locked on mute, but if you change lock rotation, you can actually switch this to change the lock rotation of your iPhone. Now after that, there is a new wallpaper here. Now remind you, this is the first beta, so we're not going to see too many of them, but if you go into General here, and then you go, if you go into Wallpaper, and then you go into Choose a New Wallpaper, you're going to see that in the stills, we have this one kind of wave crashing over on itself here, and this is one of the new wallpapers for iOS 9. I assume further down the road, we're going to see a bunch more new ones, but it's a pretty nice one to see here at the beginning. So introduced in iOS 7 was the new Spotlight, which you could pull down to access. However, now if you swipe left, you also get Spotlight as well as Siri suggestions. So you can use swipe left to search, but it also gives you Siri suggestions of things that you most often use. So if we go into an app here as well, right from Siri suggestions, you get this option that says back to search, and if you click that, it quickly pulls you back to where you just were. So one feature that has been long missing from iOS is actually the ability to change your video recording resolution. By default, it's usually at full HD. However, if you go into your settings here and you go to the photos and camera settings down at the bottom, you now have the options to actually change your record video resolution. So you can do 720p at 30, 1080p at 30, or even 1080p at 60 now, which is a nice feature. As well as if you are an iPhone 5S, 6 or 6 Plus user, you can actually go into the slow-mo settings and now switch between 240 frames per second as well as 120 frames per second. Nice addition there. All right, so it's nice to see some security settings every once in a while. And if we go into Touch ID and passcode here, one of the big features actually is since the beginning of iOS, your passcode when using it numerically has always been restricted to 4 digits. So you could do 1, 2, 3, 4. However, now you are actually able to use a 6-digit passcode. So it's a little bit more secure and a little bit longer of a passcode that you can enter as opposed to the standard 4-digit passcode. So while we're in the settings here, one thing that's actually pretty nifty is if you pull down a little bit, you actually now have a search option, so you can quickly jump between different settings because some of the menus do get a little bit deep. So if you know exactly what you're looking for, you can simply pull it up here, and if we are to search for example, camera, we can go to camera and it gives us restrictions or whatnot. It's just nice to have that search bar as there are now a lot more settings in iOS 9. All right, so in Notification Center, the way notifications work is that they are grouped together. However, if you go into notifications now, you actually can choose of whether they are grouped by app or if they are just placed in the order which they appear. So for example, if you get a message notification, and then a couple minutes later you get a calendar notification, and then you get a message notification again, it will actually pull the message notifications up to the top and group them together. However, if you turn that off, it will simply put the notifications in the order in which they were received. Personally, I like that a little bit better as it's not as confusing and it gives you a little bit of a timeline of what's happened on your phone. So it's nice to see that little setting there in notifications. All right, so in the Apple Mail application now, if you go into compose a new message, in the past you were able to insert pictures by long holding down and swiping over here and add a photo or video. However, now you actually can add an attachment from your iCloud Drive. So if you select this, you are given the option to choose any files you have in your iCloud Drive, whether it be a Word document, an Excel, a PowerPoint, a Pages, just a .text file. Really nice feature to see, and it makes it feel a lot more like a desktop email client. So with iOS 9, it was announced that on the iPad you had the ability to quickly scroll through text when you were using 2 fingers on the keyboard. However, it wasn't mentioned that you could also do this on the iPhone. So if we go into Notes here where we have some text, open up the keyboard and you put 2 fingers on it, you can quickly scroll here, much like a trackpad on a laptop. It's a really cool feature, a really handy one, I think, for quickly accessing somewhere in the notes. And this is available on the iPhone as well as the iPad. All right, and finally here for the last of the hidden features, if you go into your Spotlight search and search for a contact, you go ahead and get your contacts here, and instead of having to actually go and click on them and open up the Contacts app, you get the option to message or call them right from Spotlight. It's really nice, and it just makes it a little bit more intuitive and simpler when you're looking to contact someone quickly. Thanks so much guys for watching. If you're interested in actually using iOS 9 today,